So how many of you have a dream deep inside you that you really wanted to do, but you keep putting it off for a variety of reasons? Maybe it is to climb a mountain. Maybe it is to start a new career. Or maybe it's just trying a new hobby. What I want you to do is I want you to connect with that dream inside you, deep inside you, while I share the lessons that I learned climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Now for me, the lessons actually happened before I even began the climb. They happened in 2008. This was my vision board, one of the items on my vision board. And it represented the fact that both my husband and myself wanted to go to Africa, go on a safari, and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. In 2008, I didn't know how, and I didn't know when it was going to happen. I just knew that I wanted to do it. In January of 2011, my friend Ray, whose family had been posted to South Africa, gave me a call and said, Suze, if you and Andy want to come to Africa, you got to come now because we're going to be posted back to Canada in 2012. My husband and I thought, we're going for this. And we took that leap of faith and we went and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. So this is where the first lesson came in. Vision boards are incredibly powerful in helping you achieve your dream. But it's not just the vision board alone. It's really important if you have that dream, if you have that goal, that you share it with someone to help keep you accountable and to help cheer you on when the going gets tough. The stats are that people who share their dreams and their goals are 70% more likely to achieve them. So I want you to think about your dream and goal and the importance of sharing that with someone who's going to hold you accountable. The second thing was that age is just a number, not a definition. Because I found out the youngest person to climb Mount Kilimanjaro was 6 years old. The oldest was a couple out of Vancouver, an 85-year-old man and his 84-year-old wife. So do not let age be an excuse. So Mount Kilimanjaro is Africa's highest peak. It's 5,895 meters, which translates to 19,340 feet. My husband and I decided to do the Machambi route. There's a bunch of different routes up. We decided to do this. One of the reasons we decided to do it is it's one of the more successful routes to make it up to the summit. The reason is because on day 3 here, they take you up to the wedge to get your lungs to acclimatize to the thinner air and the lack of oxygen. So we chose to go this route. This is day 1 of our climb at 1,828 meters. And just to give you an idea, Calgary is at 1,050 meters. And as you can see, we're decked out in our rain gear. It was quite rainy when we started. There was 11 of us in the group. There were 33 porters, 3 guides, and 3 cooks. This was us at the end of day 1. We climbed to 3,100 meters. These were our lovely dining facilities, our sleeping facilities, and our very luxurious washroom facilities. Day 2, we went through really desert-like terrain. It was really sandy and gritty, and it got in our nose and in our lungs. And it was hard to breathe at times. But what amazed me about this was the porters who were carrying baskets on their heads or huge backpacks on their backs were singing going up the mountain. That was a huge impact on me. Now this is the end of day 2 at 3,840 meters and the incredible Milky Way. My husband got this shot. It was absolutely amazing. Day 3, we started out, And here we went through a really lunar-like landscape. It was really cold and really windy. And then we went up to that wedge that I told you about. And then we came down through this semi-oasis because there was a stream there. And we came down to the Branco camp at 3,900 meters. Now this was where I started to wonder what I was doing, because this was me. I was only at day 3, and I knew I had 3 days left to go. Coming down that 690 meters from the wedge was really hard on my knees. I have some old sports injuries that make inclines really painful for my knees. So what I did was I had my husband take a picture of this drawing that my friend Ray's daughter had done for me. And one of the sayings on it was, "Do it for the good." She knew that I was doing this climb. I did a climb for a cause, and I raised money for a local library. So I actually went to visit the library as Susanne the Sunshine Fairy from my book, and got to meet who it was I was raising the funds for. And this is where lesson 3 comes in. When we try and help other people out, we in turn end up helping ourselves. Knowing that I was doing this climb, not only for myself, but also for this library to keep running, helped to inspire me up the mountain. That and taking a couple ibuprofen to take down the swelling. So day 4, we went up the Barranco wall, and you see here, it's quite the scramble. And a lot of us had all the technical gear, right, and we're scrambling up. You see the porters there, some of them had flip-flops. And they were literally like mountain goats going from side to side on the rocks, balancing stuff on their heads. And I thought, they must be laughing their heads off at us because we had all this tech gear and they were way ahead of us. So we ended up at our base camp at 4,600 meters at 5 o'clock at night. At 7 o'clock we had dinner. At 9 o'clock we went to bed. At 11 o'clock we were woken up to have some hot chocolate and some nutritional snacks. And at 12, we began to summit the mountain. So this is what day 5 looked like for me. It was minus 15, and there was a wind chill. And the air was incredibly thin. And early on in the climb, I knew I was in trouble, because I started to stagger. And that is one of the first signs of altitude hypoxia. And our guide, who was incredible, at our first break, came to me and he said, "Susanne, you need to give up your day pack, give it to the assistant Eddie to let him carry it up the mountain. You need to conserve your energy to make it to the top." And at first, my ego kicked in. Said, "Suze, you're such a wuss. Nobody else is giving up their day pack. Why should you?" But this little voice of reason inside me said, "You know what, Suze? You are being given the opportunity right now to make it up that mountain. Don't be a fool. Take it." And I did. And that's where this very important lesson for me came in. We need to learn to accept help when it's offered. It is really hard for us as women to accept help. It's double hard for me because I'm super, super stubborn. And what we need to do is learn to accept help with ease and grace. When you have a dream and someone is willing to help you achieve it, accept that help with ease and grace. So this was day 5 continued. I knew I was prepared for it physically, but I knew mentally that this would be quite a grueling climb because it was 6 hours with just a headlamp in complete darkness and really thin air. I knew I was going to have to come up with a mantra. And what I did was I listened to the clicking of people's walking poles. against the rocks. And that's when the mantra came in. And it went exactly like this. I will make it. Sounding a lot like Darth Vader, right? And because we'd made a pact as a group to make it up that mountain together, this was the next part of the mantra. We will make it. Now I want you to imagine, if you will, repeating that over and over and over in your mind for 6 hours straight. That's exactly what I did to get us to Stella Point for sunrise. Now at this point, there was only 165 meters left to go to the summit. That last 165 meters took an hour to walk because we literally had no energy left. And seeing it right there was probably the hardest part. But I'm happy to say that we all made it as a group to the top. And Uhuru in Swahili means freedom. And it was an incredible feeling. But what was really interesting was I realized something when I got to the top. I realized I wasn't the only one that had to give up my day pack. In fact, over half the people had to give up their day pack, and some of them were men. So this is where a very important lesson came in for me. Stop comparing yourself to others. You kill your dreams when you do that. So stop comparing yourself to others. The other lesson that came in was just how incredibly powerful the mind is. I used a mantra to make it up that mountain. My husband, who's a marathon runner, he used a visualization. He visualized himself at the top of the summit with his hands up in the air. What you need to do is figure out what it's going to be for you. Only you know what is best for you to do. So we got to revel in our accomplishment for just under an hour, and then we needed to descend back to base camp. And this time, I accepted help with ease and grace from one of the guides. He put his arm around me, and what took me 7 hours to climb took me 2 hours to run down. In fact, my husband, who's a marathon runner, could not keep up to the two of us in front of him. So what happened when we got to base camp? We were allowed to sleep for 2 hours. We got up and had something to eat, and then we had to descend to the last camp because we had to get down to an area where there was more oxygen so our lungs could acclimatize. Now I have to tell you, for me, this was the most difficult part of the journey for me. Because what had happened in coming down that mountain so quickly, I ended up getting black toe on both of my toenails, my big toe. For those of you that don't know what black toe is, it's a blood blister underneath your toenail. So with every step I took, 6 hours down, I was banging against those blisters on my toes. And every single step hurt. And this is where a really important lesson came in for me. Growth requires us to continually change. I actually even said to our guide, "Can we just hang out here at base camp?" He said, "No." He said, "It's not safe. We have to get you down to the next camp so that your lungs can acclimatize." And it made me realize how true that is in our life. We have mountains that we're supposed to climb. We have dreams that we're supposed to achieve. But we can't hang out there because that will be the death of us. We need to come back down off that mountain, back down off that dream to climb the next mountain, to pursue the next dream. We need to continually change and grow. So on day 6, the final descent, it was the best part of the hike. It wasn't a steep incline. I had my 2 toes wrapped like crazy, so they weren't banging as much against my hiking boots. We went back to our hotel, we celebrated with our guides, and then I returned home. And my aunt from Montreal, who thought I was absolutely insane for doing this climb in the first place, sent me a newspaper clipping about this lady in Montreal. And I read it, and man, did it touch my heart. Because this woman climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in 6 days, completely blind. I had done it for 6 hours, and it had been a grueling mental workout for me. I couldn't imagine 6 days. So this showed to me how important it is to believe in yourself and all you can do. No matter what your abilities, if you believe in yourself, you can achieve great things. So I have only scraped the surface of some of the lessons that I learned at Mount Kilimanjaro, climbing up it and climbing back down. I would love to talk with you more about it after we're finished. And I also want to wish each and every one of you all the best of success with achieving your wildest dreams. Thank you.